Hey, Coach, do you have an update on Gus yet? Will he be available tonight?
I would say that Gus could potentially play if needed. I would say he's probably not 100%.
And then Jamel Smith, obviously playing his conditioning stint. He's had 2 games already. Have you had any updates from Grand Rapids and what you anticipate his immediate future to look like?
Well, I start with the first part of the question. I talked to Ben Simon. Ben thought he played better in the second game than the first game. It had been a long time for him since he had played. Thought he's definitely looked more comfortable in the second game. Yeah, I mean, did a fine job. So that's, I think the point of going down there is to get going a little bit, get some game experience, and and then we'll see what the immediate future brings.
And then lastly from me, just what has to happen tonight to get back on track against a Chicago team who's also hungry for points?
Well, not dissimilar to what happened on the weekend, to be honest with you. I thought we played certainly good enough to win both games. From a process standpoint, there was a lot of things that we were happy with, and some things we got to be better at. But I think if you go back to that Dallas game, I think we certainly felt like we probably should have won the game. The Nashville game, we certainly could have, and back to back in a tough building, and so it's probably like every night we're gonna have to defend great. We're gonna have to, hopefully try to win the special teams battle and play great hockey. And if you do that, you give yourself a chance to win.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Max Goldman.
What can Joe Valeno do to be more, impactful on tonight basis?
Well, I'd start a little bit. He's got to earn probably more opportunity. I mean, I think opportunity as a factor in whether what your impact is. I think Joe is doing a fine job. And I know I've been disappointed in Joe. Can he grab more? Certainly. It's not always easy. He's not always killing penalties a little bit. He's not always on the power. He hasn't been on the power play much, and his ice time's been fine. It's not, it's not that he can't do anything in that time, but it's not going to necessarily lend itself to being easy to grab more. So, how does he grab more? I do think he can use his big body to win more battles. I think that's one area, and I think he can find ways to be a little bit quicker in his decision making with the puck. Those would be 2 areas that I think would help him. But he's working at it, and he's a young kid playing in the NHL right now, and it's not going to be easy. And I've been totally fine with his progress.
And it seems like his kind of defensive stick has been pretty good early. He's been able to lift a lot of sticks and break up battles. Like, is that something that has always been in his game since you've seen him, or is that more recent?
Well, I think when he went to GR, I think the staff in GR and our development staff did a really good job of making sure he understood that for him to be a good player in this league, like every other player, probably he's got to be good on both sides of the puck. And I think he's worked hard at it. He worked hard at it in Sweden last year, and he's a better defensive player than he was when he first came into our organization. So that's a great part of development. I think a lot of people look at development and just look at points, and that's not really the reality of it. Very few guys can come in to this league and score their way past a whole bunch of mistakes, if any, and only the superstars have a chance to do that. So, I think that's been a big part of his development. I think he's done a good job of it. So, I trust him. Again, I think there's times where he can use his body a little bit more to win battles and not play just with his stick to win battles, but that's a learned process. And it's also understanding, he's put a lot of strength in the last couple of years, so it's understanding how to harness that strength. And it's also, understanding the level of player that he's going up against, and that it's harder to win stick battles now.
And last thing on this, I know not a lot of young guys do this, but does he have PK potential for you down the line?
Well, he's killing for us right now. I mean, he's not killing lots, but he's killed for us over the last number of games, and we're trying to get him in there slowly but surely. When your kill goes good, you tend to go back to the same guys, and even when sometimes it goes bad, you go back because they have the most experience. But he's definitely worked his way into it. He's had some moments. I think lately he's done a better job. He got a little bit more early, and he didn't do great, and he got taken off it. Now he's done a little bit better job going back in. His lease hasn't been as long as some other guys. I get that, but I do think he's a guy who has the chance to be a good penalty killer down the road. Yeah.
Ted Colton.
Hey, Jeff, I think we asked you about Berggren yesterday, but what was the message to Berggren when you guys sent him down to GR in October?
Well, my message, to be honest, was he's got to change his game to have success in the NHL, or really in pro hockey in North America. And he has to play faster. He has to not wind it up, take the puck back and wind it up and try to beat 5 guys. He's got to scan, know what he's going to do with the puck before he gets it, dart to areas, get the puck back. I think playing faster, and this would be, this next part would have been something I know our management groups just told him as well. He's got to play, inside the middle of the ice more, and he's got to get inside the middle of the ice. And not all points translate equal. In points in the European game sometimes come over here and translate, sometimes they don't. And I thought part of his game wasn't going to translate, and he needed to change part of his game in order to have success over here. And I think he's working towards doing that.
Is that what Ben is telling you? I mean, it seems like it's coming around here a little bit lately.
Making progress. Steve has told me that. Ben has told me that. And that's great. That's all you ask is again, most guys don't, come over here and just step into the NHL. It's just not the reality of what most guys do. Every once in a while, the guy's able to do it. And then there's a lot of factors that go into that. So I think he's making progress. So I think we're in a good spot with him.
I know you've been through this before the last few years with some of these prospects playing overseas and all, but just when you hear other reports on Edvinsson, first, have you seen any of the video or any of the tape? And secondly, I mean, is that a kid who has a chance next year, or it's probably too early to tell? But
yeah, it'd be too early for me to
be
speak.
pretty excited, I would think.
It would be too early for me to speak about it a whole bunch without having been on the ice with them and having them see them. I got a chance to see Moritz Seider over here in the American League before he went back over there. So I knew Moritz was going to be ready in my own head. You obviously wanted to prove it, but I felt that was the case. With Edvinsson, I haven't seen enough of him. I've seen him a bit. Certainly, we've had good reports on him, and I think the style of player he is lends itself. He's big, he can really skate, and if he thinks it well enough, then you can be a pretty good player. Even if there's other parts of your game that you have to hone. If he's going to be an upper level, upper tier defenseman, hopefully he's ready. And the best players probably get here the earliest. That's the reality most of the time. And so we'll see. But it'd be hard for me to say without him really being over here and seeing how he reacts. Hockey sense is a huge thing for any player, and it's really hard to tell. In some of those situations, I've certainly heard he's got good hockey sense, so I'm not worried about it. But let's wait and see where he's at. At next fall.
Appreciate this, Jeff. Thank you.
Clean St. James.
Jeff, when do you anticipate having Thomas Greiss available?
I got to talk to Pete Van Zandt. I believe tomorrow he is available to start skating. So that's what I believe the timeline is. It hasn't been top of mind, but I believe that's the timeline is tomorrow is available to start skating. And then we got to make a determination, when he'd be ready to go into a game, whether it was to start or back up. And I'd like to see him skate before I comment on that further.
Because he hasn't since before the game in Buffalo, right? I think that's the day he was placed in. So it's been 10 days.
No, the 10th day would be tomorrow, I believe. That's the day that we're, to my understanding, I think it was the game day was actually the day that he went into COVID protocol. It was actually the game in Buffalo. So I think his 10th day is tomorrow. So however we do the math, that's the day he's able to get out.
And just on the subject of young players, how much do you think it'll benefit guys like Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider? I mean, that February is considerably lighter, and I know you have about a week around the All-Star break. Just because they're not used to playing this amount of games, that there's some respite there.
Well, I'd say two things. Yes, that definitely, the fact that it gets lighter in February, I think is a positive for probably a lot of people to kind of regroup. But certainly two young players that haven't played as many games as this, it's definitely in Raymond's case, and even for a guy like Sides, how hard it is every single night. I think we gotta, I think we got to make sure that we're paying close attention to their ice time. Their ice time both was too high probably last weekend. One was because of injury in Seider's case, and Raymond's was a little bit based on specialty teams, but that's my job to make sure that I get them at the optimal minutes. And I think it was a little bit too high, but with that said, certainly the rest, the opportunity for rest in February will be important.
And just one more thing with Valeno, is the decision basically been made? He's better off playing in the role he's in right now in Detroit than because you could still send him to Grand Rapids, right? And be a top line power play 20-minute a night guy.
Yeah, I don't know that any decision's been made for anything but tonight, to be honest with you. I think both Steve and I are similar in the sense that, we'll make decisions. It's not to say we don't, have a long-term outlook on things, but a lot changes a lot in this world that we live in. And so, right now we take things day by day and we make the best decision for our hockey team and the best decision for each individual player's development. And we'll continue to do that. So tomorrow is a new day and you wake up and you make new decisions.
So Jamel is coming back. Is there a date for that or?
I would let, again, I guess I'd comment on it when I know Jamel's coming back. I'll make sure and let everybody know that, right now, he's not back today and we're focused on certainly trying to win a hockey game here against Chicago tonight.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Kylie Johnston.
Tonight's an original six matchup. We have Chicago coming into town. Is there still a rivalry feel when they come into town, or is it just like any other game?
Well, I think, anytime it's an original six matchup, I think it's special. I think there's certainly, the two organizations are proud organizations and have had lots of success at different times. Neither one of us is having the success that we would want, or that we've had potentially in the past, and that can lend itself to a rivalry feeling. But there's no doubt that when you play a team like Chicago, it's special, and any of the original six teams. And but even obviously with the geographic proximity plays into it as well. And so it's always and then to be honest with you, when you're playing a team that has Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves, and it's a cool thing. You got a number of guys, Marc-Andre Fleury, that are going to be Hall of Fame players, and so that's always adds to a little bit to the spice of the game a little bit. So it should be a fun game tonight.
Hopefully we don't see many penalty kills, but are you looking forward to seeing the improvement that you guys have made the past couple days at practice on special teams?
Well, I'd like to not see many penalty kills for sure. They're Doug Guda's on nightmares on Kane and DeBrincat coming up the ice and attacking us and trying to score on the rush, which they do as well as any team in the league. So we've worked on specialty teams the last couple of days. We'll continue to work on specialty teams as we move out. We need continued improvement, and I think there has been. I think if we go back to, we had two stretches on the power play that were 0 for 5 in this stretch, but like the last 7 or 8 games, I think we're 18.5% with two stretches, either 2 games where you're 0 for 5. So that's a pretty good percentage given that you've had that. I think if we go through the whole season, we're 18.5, we'd be okay with it. So I think it's headed the right direction. I think our penalty kill, despite giving up some lately, has been pretty solid all year. So we'll keep working at it and knowing that it's a huge factor in winning and losing.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
That's it for us this morning. Thanks, everyone.